Hey, what's up, traders? This is Trader Tim from over at eminimine.com and doing a market analysis slash trade recap for today. It's Monday, February 10th, 2020. Before I get into today's long trade in the ES, I wanted to start with the swing trades and just kind of touch up on where we're at. The Microsoft long is still going strong, and this is one of the instances where, or one of the benefits of trading the underlying versus the option. So this is the same Microsoft long that I've been in since the 7th of January. And I typically like to buy the underlying stock because it gives me more shares to be able to scale out of along the way. If you got 5 or 10 option contracts, you can still scale out. But if you're buying an at the money option contract, you typically don't want to buy too far out because you don't want to pay too much. So back here in the beginning of January, it would be okay to buy the January call because you got a couple of weeks. So for you to be at the beginning of January and say be buying the March at the money call, um, you're really paying a lot for that option. So you get in these situations where the stock just really takes off and you're kind of stuck if you've got the option. You kind of have to close it out on a, I like to close my options on a big push at the close and then lock in those gains. So there's benefits to options obviously over the stock, but you hear me talk mostly about the underlying stock. So we've got Microsoft as the long. BNFT is still going strong to the downside. That one was also back here from the beginning of or the middle of January. Almost was going to get stopped out over here, but just had I just give my stop. If it's a $20 stock, I might give it 5 or 10 cents. If it's a $100 stock, I might give it 15, 20 cents, 25 cents. Like I just give it a little bit of wiggle room when I put my stop above highs or below lows. Let's see. The next one was WMB. Now this one had a nice little dive right off the bat. And then today we closed above Friday's high. So for this one, I cut the position in half above Friday's high. So basically put a stop on half the position. And I got a little bit left, the other half, and I just left my stop up here right around the break-even mark. And then the other one last week was BSAC, I believe. Yeah. So BSAC, same kind of a short setup below the low of the high bar here, and that one's just getting going. So those are the swing setups that I have. I didn't really get an opportunity to put on more longs because if we go to the S&P, we had this down day here, and I was looking on that day or to be looking to get into longs shortly after. And we had the inside day, and then we had these couple of gap ups, and we were already back at highs. And so I didn't really see a lot of stuff setting up. So that's why it might seem odd, like, oh, well, why do I have 3 shorts and only 1 long? But it's because the shorts have been pulled up with the market, and those have gotten some good setups. So that's that. If you're swing trading the S&P with like the micro ES contract, that's a great strategy to get into some swing trading trades, but just on essentially that same instrument. So if you're buying the pullbacks or putting on a couple of contracts at these pullbacks, because it's scaled down so much, you can withstand a little bit bigger swings with a reasonable risk. Typically, I would never tell anyone to, swing trade the ES unless you've got a really, really big portfolio that you're working with, because the overnight swings can be pretty hard to deal with. All right, on to day trades. So today I had 1 long, and it actually occurred by using the 5-minute chart. The open, we gapped down and then ran really quickly, filled the gap like in 5 minutes. You can see on this 5 minute chart here, this first candle, gap down, and then boop, filled the gap in the first five. I like to use the gap fill, like the prior day's close, as a target. So obviously, not in today's case because it filled so quickly, but let's say we had gap down and I got in along down here, targeting the gap fill is a good opportunity for a place to at least take off some of the position. You don't have to take it all off. Or if we're gapping up and then we start moving down, or I get into a short trade, using the prior day's close as a point to lock in some profits is a good technique to use. The So that we had that initial move up right in that first 5 minutes, and so the retracements, we really didn't get much of a pullback, at least like a full halfway back if I use the low to high. So there really wasn't much to do there on the 512 tick side of things, but we got this kind of triple top, we'll call it, 3 bars that formed the same high, a 28 and a quarter, 28 and a quarter, 28 and a quarter. And this last bar here had put in a lower low, so I consider that, a consolidation. Essentially, this is a bull flag where you have the pole, the straight up move here in these first 3 bars, and then this third one is kind of the start of the sideways movement. And so it also happens to be this would be the high of the low bar, a 1 tick move above the 750 candle. If you're on Mountain Time, 9:50 Eastern. And so just put along at 33.2850, and that pushed up at the right just about 5 minutes before the 8 o'clock hour. So on the 512, that would be right over here. And so it moved pretty quickly. We were, let's see, corresponding here. So the 755 candle is this guy here, and when we push through, that was right about here. We were kind of like, this is the double top, if you will, that corresponds to these 2 candles highs, and then just pushing above that, and we kind of really didn't make any pullback after that. At least anything sustainable that was like a deeper halfway back. If I go from lows to highs of the morning, there was still nothing that traded. So when you get in those situations, you can kind of be left with not a lot of opportunity to get in on a pullback, and so buying a breakout with just the same sort of idea that, okay, once I get into the trade, then I can just trail my stop behind swing lows, or I can trail my stop below each candle after it gets going. But the helpful part is to let the market establish that resistance level, so you have that clear line, and then you can just do a buy stop above that or a sell stop below that. Or in this case, it also happened to be the high of the low bar. Retracement wise, I wanted to go back to Wednesday because a situation that we get a fair bit is where we start trending one way on the day here. So we moved down, and then when we rallied, we came up and just broke right through the halfway back short. And so this is the day where we had a lot of tests of the halfway back, whereas today, no halfway back test. So the short broke. So then I draw up the long, but instead of just putting an order right there at the 50%, I want to kind of wait for some confirmation to see, okay, is there going to be anything here? Is there going to be any support here? And so getting this scenario where we have a little double bottom at a larger halfway back makes for a great trade setup. So you have the larger drawing that you can draw up. You can see it stop at the 50%. That's your confirmation with this little double bottom that happened to form right here, the bounce and the pullback, and then just drawing up the next setup on the 512 tick chart. And yes, you're getting in a touch higher than the actual 50%, but you have that confirmation that the market is reversing there. And and this one only moved back a point, or took a point of heat, so it's not really um, much risk at all. And the benefits outweigh, you know, especially when it's the first test of a larger 50%. And then you can just kind of draw up the next 61.8 and trail your stop there, or just kind of ride it up towards the negative 23% target of the larger 50%. And just by trailing your stop, you can catch, a good portion of the move. And so it's a good way to use the larger levels, but enter on the smaller time frame to reduce your risk. So I wanted to touch on that one because that is something we see quite a bit. So tomorrow we'll be doing a live trading session again at over at eminimind.com/VIP. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments below. Thanks and have a great week of trading.